Good time of day to all of you, my friends, here on Chess.com. This is Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, just fresh off watching the exciting game 10 of the World Championship match, which is coming to its close. Yeah, and now, so many variations, so many thoughts now in my head. I hope I can make a good video out of this, but obviously no time to even to look back. Well, the whole purpose of this enterprise on my part is to give you my impressions as they're fresh, just coming off watching the game with many of you guys. Of course, 40, 50,000 people on Twitch alone watching Chess.com. Great stuff. All right. The game started with e4. Now, Fabiano seemingly settled on this open Sicilian and that particular line of the Sveshnikov. And second time around, I think he got a good position out of this. Makes me wonder if he regrets having kind of wasted the 3 whites in the first half of the match playing the Rasalima. But then again, maybe the win now would be more valuable than the win early in the match. So, hard to tell. Alright, so they go into the same thing, knight d5. And repeat the same line with the move a4. Seemingly, Fabiano liked the way it went for him in game. I believe it was game 8. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? He really had a great position. But, nevertheless, he was the one to deviate first. With this little strange looking but interesting move b4, I will remind you that he did play bishop d2 in game 8. Okay, so we're coming back to b4. Alright, b4 of course part of White's great plan of advancing the pawns forward and taking advantage of that 4 against 3 on the queen side. Magnus played this move, which is either very good or very bad, depending on how well both players play after that. So on the one hand, it breaks up White's powerful pawn chain. On the other hand, it starts play on the side of the board when Black has no business playing on, which is the queen side. Of course, White's supposed to have an advantage over there. Okay, let's see. I really don't want to engage into a debate. There are way too many debates going on, particularly during live shows when people say, oh, that's this or that, because White has the open files, Black has the 2 bishops, or this and that. Funny thing is, okay, I hate to say this, but when a real player shows up, there's like Nakamura, there is very few generalizations, but a whole lot of moves suggested. And quick analysis on the go. No, that's how it is. Of course, if you cannot analyze as quick as Nakamura does, then maybe indeed, you have nothing else to offer but generalizations. Well, unfortunately, we cannot have Nakamura all the time, or guys like Vashkeva Graf, or, all the time. So we need to make do a little bit with our own heads, and let's try. Okay, a5. Now, I don't really want to get into a completely different situation which may have happened after the move f4, which would in some way be similar to game 8, where f4 was played, but that structure, say, after the capture. But I really don't know. Here Black has the square c5 for the knight, so let's not even discuss this. The principled move was a5, and that's what Fabiano played. Now, there we go, and the bishop goes there. Normally we say, well, that bishop is valuable in King's Indian structures. But no less valuable is that bishop on c8. So if Black goes for this, then at very least White can take that bishop on c8 and then try to play opposite cover bishop situation, where black will regret to move f4. Because it's important in opposite cover bishop situations to keep your opponent's bishop restricted by your pawns on the same cover squares. Not to open the full control for him. g4, e6, and so on. So this is not good, and Magnus played queen e8. I actually started looking from this position, and I know Fabiano thought for quite a long time here. And I still don't particularly dig his choice, rook a3. The move is very useful in some situations, but my instinct was telling me to play bishop h5. And I can tell you why. In this position, I don't really expect black to play it King's Indian style, attacking with the J and H pawns and all that. The position is just little too open for that. I think black is planning to play as in the game Queen g6 and try to make it with the pieces. The only pawns that's gonna play any part is the E and F pawns. From that point of view, preventing the black queen from coming out to g6 to me was really imperative, and I advocated this line. And I know there was a little bit of discussion over there when I suggested it, but Danny and Robert, they quickly shut me down. Though basically, I mean, I was half joking, but, well, in every joke there is a grain of truth, right? I mean, I wanted to look at this stuff. I find this fascinating. Well, who knows how things will work out. If I get 3 pawns, push my d pawn forward, that's the way to go, right? So black exposes his king, really. I actually don't believe in the move g5. I mean, I could believe in bishop f5, but I think then white should go g4. Oh no, I just broke some cardinal rules of not moving the pawns of my king. But I mean, in this situation, I sort of reduce black's attacking potential, don't I? I mean, getting rid of the f-pawn and I don't know. This is not quite the King's Indian, so it's not like if you play 4, you open up your bishop to decisive effect. The bishop is only 7. Well, if black doesn't take, then I don't know, possibly same business with knight takes e5. No, I mean it. I really mean it. Well, if I get d6, I'm opening up all the way on b7 on that pawn. Well, risky, obviously. Well, the white king now is exposed, but I mean, how are you going to win a world championship match without taking risks? Has anyone ever done it? Don't know. The move I really thought was best for black was queen f7, and I was kind of stumped here, and that's why I didn't want to continue this discussion, because I thought maybe white just playing for tricks with knight takes e5, which queen f7 will probably eliminate. And I didn't really see a follow-up until I looked a little deeper, and I found a strange looking move. I mean, it didn't occur to me first what to do in reply to knight takes d5. I wanted to return back, maybe hit d6, but this is all not convincing. But this positional treatment suddenly is. Look, white had given a pawn to open the light squares and put the knight on e4 behind the bishop and the pressure against b7. Suddenly I look at this position and I understand that I would hate having this position with black. I really would not be comfortable over here. Absolutely not. And the thing is, you can never really win the b6 pawn that easily, because there's going to be one tactic or another. Like here, there is this move, and if bishop goes to d8 and this hits the queen, lots of stuff possible. I think there was really a turning point in the game. If you believe that the game should be perfect, right, that every move has to like hit the right note on every move, literally, like Kasparov believed, then we need to look at bishop h5. If we assume that we can play some moves and it's okay because whatever, then it's fine. It's a game of chess. Understandable. Maybe it's the perfectionist in me that demands the move bishop h5. Anyway, Magnus played queen g6 very quickly, and then after bishop c7 he took quite a bit of time on the move e4, which honestly I couldn't really understand why. I mean, the move in itself is not a big commitment yet. Besides, Black probably realizes that without pushing the spawns forward, he just cannot play this position. Or King h1 was played, and now another thing, but it was very productive this time, because Magnus found a great move b5. Now, I said that Nakamura would have found it. I actually saw it too. It comes from the experience of playing the King's Indian. There are many situations in those positions that totally blockaded the center, where Black suddenly plays b5. You gotta look for that shot, and it's great in this case. The purpose is get rid of the two of the white pieces that were instrumental for the defense. First of all, the rook on the third, and then deflect this knight. Now Black pushes forward, if this had happened in the game, and plays knight e5. And I would not bet on white surviving this. I believe that he won't. Oh, there's 2 pawns up and the pawn on b6, but what to do? On this, I don't know, I suppose bishop h3. If rook moves away, queen takes e4. And that's finita. Maybe you play f3, but no. Oh no, you cannot play f3, there's mate. So basically this is forcing. Well, Fabiano as predicted played knight b6, which is much wiser choice. The trade was made, and then Nakamura joined the show, and he was very pessimistic about white's chances of survival. And I tend to agree with him. Black seems to be on the roll. It's not only the objective evaluation of the position, it's just the way Black's been pushing forward, and white seemed to be on his back foot. Mainly we looked at b4. Now, I like b4. And then the best thing, which I don't know if it's the best, the most practical thing for Black, is just to play this and see what the opponent does at reply. I mean, you put the bishop on e5, you threaten to play f3 for sure, and mate him on h2. Now, if he falls back to some kind of a f3 thing, that I agree with Nakamura, this is always good for Black. You put the pawn on e3, you play your bishop to f5, you can try to attack h2 and checkmate him over there. This is not queening yet, well, not by a long shot. And this stronghold is essentially important. And from a practical point of view, Black has great winning chances here, disregarding computer analysis. To me, queen g5 seemed a little bit off. This move, I couldn't quite understand the idea of this. Maybe it's helpful for the rook lift, rook f6, but I mean, it's leaving the bishop e7 behind, which, if it's the King's Indian structure, then had to become a big part of it by arriving on e5. Never did. Now, a lot will be said about the move bishop takes b5 that had no refutation. Well, if there's no refutation, then you just play it. As Hikaru said, just play it, take a chance once. But I don't know what Fabiano was calculating. At this stage of the match, I think even Fabiano is unable to calculate accurately. There is too much fatigue and too much at stake. You gotta trust your instincts, and sometimes you just have to go forward and play moves like this. If Black doesn't checkmate, then White will win the game. The main line I looked at was rook f6, and now, if White wants to win the game on the spot with bishop c6, then he gets no more than a draw, all analyzed during the live show. Great stuff. So therefore, most likely, White should keep his ambition in check and return back like this. No, Black, I don't know, maybe Black can still make something out of this, but certainly this position looks better for White because he has winning advantage on the queen side. Up to Black to find some kind of attack. No, it didn't happen. g3 was played. Now, I kind of agree that f3 was playable, although I didn't see exactly how Black checkmates, and I think Magnus had enough of giving that pawn on b5 for one move, and he decided to go b4. I like this move. I don't think he was much concerned with this because I believe that black is just better here. Puts the bishop on e5. The white rooks looks little strange. Maybe they're okay defensively, but they're not supporting the a-pawn. And I think all in all, just black is just better here. So that didn't happen, and Fabiano played rook b3. And now, yeah, we looked at this. I don't know, maybe f3 was better, but by that time I was already getting tired myself trying to calculate all these mates. And I started worrying about some weird sacrifices such as this one. And it's like, who's going to be mating who? Well, I don't know. It's just hard to mate when your nearly only idea is queen g2 mate. And that bishop can probably still come back. Or the white queen. Well, maybe it's not a good line for white, but who knows. Magnus quickly played bishop h3. He started playing rather intuitively here, which is basically the right approach. So he got this position out of it, which to me appeared probably somewhat better for black. Even if the engines, as reported, do not agree with this assessment. Now, c4, which was the original intention of our commentators, good move found by Nakamura, bishop g5, intensifying the pressure with e3, is pretty good for black. Rook b5 was looked at, and they tried to make rook f5 work. Now it wasn't working, but rook a8 would work, because now after c4, rook f5, black is simply winning. The queen is cut off, cannot come back to defend. So rook b5 was actually maybe the best move. And now I was thinking, what will happen with this game? I mean, alright, Magnus attacks with the eye on the endgame, right? Maybe he wants to scare his opponent with this ghost of mating attack. So already he sort of did, right? I mean, Fabiano didn't take the pawn on b5. And now, no, it's time to invite the endgame. That's what I thought. Yeah, take. This kind of endgame, it's right up Magnus's alley, really. I mean, a complex endgame, oh, never mind those connected pass pawns, they're not going anywhere. To me, the key factor is the difference in the king's position. The black king arrives just in time. Back rank mate prevents white from taking the pawn on over there, and then I do this, I put my bishop on e5. And now, no, do I have a winning plan here? Well, I don't, but what does white do? Excuse me. With the bishops on the board, he cannot hope to get his king out, the way he did in the rook endgame. I'll advance my j and h pawns, try to stick my pawn to g4, to get more power for some potential breakthroughs. I mean, I would take black here at any time in this endgame. I'm surprised that Magnus played this big move bishop d8. Maybe he had enough adventures already for one game, and that him sitting there, agonizing while Fabiano had bishop takes b5, maybe a winning move, probably affected Magnus. He just, that fear of blundering, I think made him play this move, bishop d8. And now, okay, in my opinion, white should avoid the queen trade. So maybe queen d2 was a better move from that point of view. But anyway, queen e3, and then queen e2 was played. There was some analysis of the move queen takes c2, white accepts some worse rook endgames. No, basically goes for survival. I don't know what else to do. I mean, this actually looked dangerous from white's point of view. But probably the reality is that black is little too late to get all the moves he needs. Now, what does he need? He needs to bring the king in the center and close the cage on the king's side, so the white king cannot come out. Well, he was able to do the former, but not the latter. Well, king f7 had to be played, otherwise the pawn on d5. And now after this, Well, even h5 is not enough, right? Well, because on h5, white can probably still go g4 if needed to get out with the king. So you need more moves. You need like h6 and g5, and just to prevent the white king from coming out. It's just unrealistic. Besides, Magnus was in time trouble and he played a reasonable move king e6. Now after g4, I believe white is out of danger. I mean, it's local success, tying down the white rooks to the protection of the b6 pawn, but just very hard to make progress. And Magnus said he must have looked at g5. Seemingly a good idea to attack the white king, but this counterattack comes too quick. I really don't know what to play here. Rook g7 or h5. It's just not powerful enough. White does this. And then, what? You have to run away. It's all drawish, to be honest. I mean, too many pawns leave the board, and neither side really has winning chances. Same thing with rook b g7. There is rook a7, or there is... Yeah, that's probably good enough. Same thing, it's gonna be a draw. But strangely, Magnus, who obviously was little unhappy because he knew he was better at some point of this game, played the move king d4 that seemingly, as a lot of people thought, put him on the brink of disaster. Now, disaster is, as you can see, and you saw in the game continuation, can be easily averted if you don't pay any attention to the silly computer numbers and play real good human chess. Meaning like, what? Rook endgame 3 on 2 or 2 on 3, whatever. There is no such thing as better or worse side of a draw. A draw is a draw is a draw is a draw. Okay, there's just nothing else there. And Fabiano confirmed to this simply by offering a draw in this position. Alright, so king d4, maybe by computer evaluations, was a big mistake. Well, giving white a +1 from zeros that were there. But in reality, the result of the game is the same. Not a bad game at all. I really enjoyed it. But I think once again, Magnus was the aggressor in this game. And once again, he came out kind of empty-handed. Well, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep his cool, because clearly with just 2 games to go, one slip can be fatal. But it goes for both players. So let's just wait until day after tomorrow, when we're going to have game 11. Thank you so much. This was Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky. Goodbye.